Hello, everybody, and welcome to MountainSpeak. We are in season 4, episode 6, and today we have Kamana with us. Kamana has been a dear friend and also a major, I would say, a thought and do leader in terms of sustainability, and I'm glad that I know her for a few years now. She has been on MountainSpeak earlier as well during COVID, and we're glad to host you again. I am also joined by my co-host Ruchira, who is a current first year student. No, she has completed first year now. The results are out, and she's doing her internship with Arvind Fashions, Arvind Fashions in Hyderabad, and so we would have a short session with Kamna, and then we'll take few questions from the lovely audience which is sitting here. So thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with where you are now, and then we go back to where you have been. So, what do you do now, and how would you introduce yourself?
Okay, so my name is Kamana, and I'm a mother of 2 kids. I am currently homeschooling them, so majority of my time goes into in taking care of their schedule on a daily basis because it is a challenging job, especially when you're homeschooling your 2 kids. And otherwise, I'm a nutritionist by profession. I've worked in the nutrition industry for the past 8 years, I would say, and then I left the job and I started exploring various other fields. And all this led to, I gained serious interest in knowing about climate change and sustainability and a small movement that started in our society, about waste segregation. It all started from there, and slowly and steadily, I started learning more about it, and that's all. It started, and my passion towards sustainability and slow fashion movement, or whenever it comes to anything related to, you know, um, climate change or ecology. I would just want to read about it. Raising 2 kids, also, being a parent, it's your onus to teach kids about what's happening outside the world. And when you're raising kids, it's always important to inculcate all these habits that you are following, right? Because we cannot expect kids to just learn on their own. So you need to start following on your own so that your kids can see you, observe you, and that's how the sensitization happens. So we started practicing many habits at home, and I started talking about it online as well. I do volunteer time to time in the waste management area. I do volunteer with many other NGOs as well. So I'm just exploring various fields in sustainability. But yeah, but for now I'm like like a fully involved mother who's educating her 2 kids. We travel a lot. Most of the times we go to the indigenous spaces around India. So the whole idea is to take them to the places which they have not seen. Take them outside their privileged flat where there is water, there is electricity, but they don't know what's happening outside the world. So just to sensitize about indigenous people, how they are living, what are the problems that they are facing. So in 1 year we do 2 travels, and we go to the interior of the country and we just spend time with them and live accordingly. So it's not like a very what do you say, like a very,
very
touristy thing, or we will stay in a resort or a hotel. So they have to live with the minimal things. So that's how that's part of their curriculum that I have introduced. Yeah.
I mean, she is not telling the whole story there, and she's really being modest. So where we live, she and a couple of other people, she took the lead and created a sort of, I would say, a community-based initiative called Eco Patra.
Yes.
And whenever we talk about sustainability, I said charity begins at home, and this is how we should run all residential societies and stuff like that. So we want to talk about these initiatives because sustainability starts at home.
Right. So Eco Patra was the utensil bank that we started in Pebble City. So the whole idea was to inculcate the habit of reusing and reusing. Right. So when you talk about 3 R's in sustainability, like reuse, reduce, recycle. And before recycle, we need to understand how much we can reduce it.
Reduce
it. And looking at the events that are happening in our daily lives, we are going to birthday parties, this, that, even in the societies, there's so many events that are happening. We saw the amount of the trash that was being generated on the daily basis. And so we thought that why not to start a cutlery bank. And the whole idea was not to gain any profits. So a bunch of the volunteers, we donated the money, and we bought a very aesthetically good looking cutlery so that people should not like it should. We wanted to make it look different, like the cutleries that you get in gurdwaras or the bhandaras, from the temples you get, but they are not good looking. Like people would not want to host dinner at their house, birthday parties, right? So we invested in a very good steel cutlery, and we started promoting it in our society. And within so we started before COVID started in March. COVID happened, and in November we started 2019. And in that 4 months period, we did around 30 orders. 30 orders. So that was very successful, and people really wanted to, people really asked about it, and they were very keen about all this, that happened. And we also did a very big event that happened in the society. So collectively, all the communities in our society do many events, like the Christians will do Christmas, Maharashtrians will do Ganpati Puja and all that. So before COVID, there were two big functions that we catered. One was Christmas party, and so majority of the cutlery went via us, and there was zero trash generated during that event. And the second was much more bigger, was the the Sikhs, they do
the langar.
The langar that was done by the Sikh community, Punjab community. They did the akhand part, and we actually sent message across the social media of our society that this is we are focusing on creating this as zero waste event, so we need more volunteers. So many people came up, they washed the dishes, and again we repeated the same. So it turned out to be a very, very successful effort, I would say. Even our meetings that happen, the housekeeping staff, we also do lunches for them. So we use the same cutlery. And the money that we get, so the person who's helping us in cleaning, for example, if there's a domestic employee like a maid who's coming, who's helping us clean, so 50% of the rent goes to that person. So there's also an employment generation model, that you're looking at. So they get chance to earn extra money from it. And the money that we receive will help in maintaining the inventory, or in case we want to increase it, or buying other things like Vim or something with which you clean it. So
that's wonderful, and I could always relate to it because good old communities. You talk about communities, the idea which comes to our mind is village communities.
Right.
My village has a similar system, so we all have community vessels,
right,
which are cooking as well as serving and distribution.
Yeah.
All that is community owned. It has always been community owned.
So talking about it, actually I visited, everybody should visit Siddipet. It is 2 hours from Hyderabad, and they have 22 wards. It's a small district, and they have 22 wards. And each ward has a own cutlery bank. The government invested 2 lakh rupees, and each ward has own cutlery bank, and it is very available at a very cheap prices. Rent, yeah, it's very, very cheap, and it is available to everybody. Anybody can take it. So for marriages, for birthday parties, or anything. And they are really coming up with the sustainability because they are already composting their waste. They have created a garden where they are, showcasing all kinds of composters. There are temples which are composting waste in that district.
Okay.
I was blown by looking at the amount of things that they are doing. They are already making a bio CNG, which the Harita restaurant is using, for their kitchens. And there are many dry waste vendors as well. So there's so much being done in a small district as well. It's a great example. Yeah.
I wanted to ask that what are some of the challenges that you faced or you're still facing while implementing such a lifestyle or sustainable lifestyle?
Oh, so there are many challenges actually. First you have to unlearn yourself when you started this path, what all you have learned, and you slowly, steadily, take every part of your home where you want to bring change. So it has to be start from waste segregation, because without waste segregation, sustainability is nothing. If you're not segregating the waste. So that started, and then we started slowly doing composting in our house. We have composters. So earlier I would do in small mud pots, like a small one. Then I saved money, and then I bought a 3-tier composter. because the one mud pot was not enough for the amount of wet waste that we were generating. So we started slowly composting that. Then I started making bioenzyme, which is like a bio cleaners, instead of using detergents or the liquid based cleaners that you get in the market. Then I started exploring that. Then I saw in the kitchen how I can bring change, like small things like kitchen scrubbers, which are made from the
Organic ones,
the coconut coils, then of course in your washroom, the toothbrushes, when you use your electrical devices like the batteries that goes, majority of the batteries are disposable, then we change them into the rechargeable ones. And so small areas I started observing, like how can I, and it was not like one and all, like one day I sat and I brought all the change. It was very slow and steady. It was very subtle, It slowly happened. As a person, like I always say that the sustainability has evolved me into a very different person. Like I'm a totally different person now of what I was, a few years ago. But that change happened slowly and steadily. There were also many things that I did wrong. For example, people say that what brings you happiness, ask me. So I tell them that this is what gives me happiness, by volunteering in waste management, by composting, all this gives me happiness. But earlier what was happening was like because I was following this path, I would question people like, oh, why are you not doing this? Why? Like I started judging, and then I realized like everybody has their own path, I should not be anybody to judge them, right? And this is my own path, and I have to focus on it, not care about what other people are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, I evolved into a different person now. Earlier it was all about like I need to do this everywhere. Now it's all about like what I have to do for myself and for my family, and what are the best I can do. There are many challenges. For example, you forget to carry your own reusable steel or bags or bottles, and then I would go into that guilty mode like, oh my god, what did I do, right? I would go to Ratnadeep, and because I'm not able to buy 100% plastic free or a grocery from the zero waste stores, they are coming everywhere nowadays. But they are not accessible for majority of the population, right?
Yes.
But we had a culture of the grocery stores where the loose groceries will be available to you before this rise of supermarkets. But again, where I live, it is still not accessible, right? And I would go into the guilt conscious, and the question would come into my mind, like, why am I just going into the guilt? I'm like this common person, part of the population who is doing its best. Isn't it the company's responsibility to be more conscious, or the government's responsibility? Why is it I'm only taking the bonus, right? So it gets very tiring mentally. You go into that anxiety mode, like if you're doing right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you share your journey in social media, people think that you are this idealistic person.
Mm-hmm.
They forget that you're also a human being and you can also make mistakes. Right?
I'm mother of two as well.
As well.
And talking about that, and I'm pretty impressed, and I keep talking about it because this is how we lived, which is, in our times we used to call it hand-me-downs in terms of clothes.
Yes.
Now we call them as pre-love.
Yes.
And I know you're a great fan of pre-love, and especially when you have to get new stuff for your kids. So that new is new for them. It need not be new for everybody.
Right.
So how do you get, as a mother, how do you get used to that idea that you are getting something for your children which is, let's say, not brand new in that sense? Are there any conflicts that you have?
I think the whole concept of the brand new is, so there was, like in my times, my parents would buy me dress only on my birthdays or on Diwali, right? The two main events when you would get your dresses. But now, because of the globalization and the purchasing power has become so high that even the middle class can afford anything now, right? And I think there is also this thing called like, in our times, the people took pride in frugal living, like, we are saving money. But now people are like, we are not living frugally, we can buy anything that we want. So the idea of buying like, oh yes, I can buy, why do I need second hand, is all about like, I think due to the globalization, how the purchasing power has increased of the middle class. And also I think when it comes to fashion, because of the rising trends of social media, everybody wants to be in the trend, especially the Gen Z. Are you on Gen Z? keep on changing. What you see on social media is all aesthetically beautiful, and you want to opt for the same, right? But you forget that in our times, like the clothing was the need. It is there to to cover your body, to say to keep your body safe from the sun, from the rain, right? So that was the main function of the garment. But now it has become more of a commodity which is being just disposed after wearing like 1 or 2 times. You just don't want to wear it for the sake of social media. You want to stay trend, right? And also it also gives you when you're purchasing new clothes every day, it gives you the sense of being in the close proximity of the class dynamic. Like you want to feel rich. Yes. Yeah. So in my times, not in my grandmother's times, everybody would in every house they would spun their own yarn, like the cotton. They would get cotton. They would have a charkha. They would spun. Today also now, there are many houses who do that. Like my grandmother did, and she passed me down the case. Case is a garment that we used. Not garment, is a
shawl kind of
a sheet we take during the autumn times when it's not like harsh winter and it's not summers. So those were like being weaved at home, and they would give it to the weaver, and then they would make it into a shawl, like a thick shawl. And still, I have those with me. They are like
it's a wonderful thing. It's a
I
multi-purpose.
love it. It's so
Could wrap it around, sleep under it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like I still have those, like 40 years old, and they are still as good as new. So even with the fast fashion, when you talk about, this the quality of the garment has gone down to zero. Like that's what the cycle is all about. The quality goes down after like you wear it for like 2-3 days, 2-3 times, and then you have to buy it again. So you are trapped in that vicious circle. Like you wear it 2-3 times, and then you have to buy it again. So this is.
And also because you posted on social media, so you can't wear it twice. Oh, that's the same dress you were wearing earlier?
Yeah, I think I would always say like, re-wearing is cool. Like, I always tell my kids like buying second hand is more cooler than, I would use their terms like cool. It's more cooler than buying, the garment, like a new garment. And I think the emotional value that we always keep attaching to to these materials is, it's absolutely, it doesn't make sense to me, because at the end, it's just a garment. And when you see any particular item that you, for example, a small piece of socks as well, we don't even think like who's making it. This person who made it is able to feed their families, is able to send their children to school. We don't think about it. For us, it's just the end product and we're using it, right? But there's so many people who are involved in the supply chain, and we are hardly being cognizant about it. Mm-hmm. So, and I think it all started with before Britishers came, we had this very beautiful circular economy.
Within the villages, yeah.
Yeah, it was like people would buy from the weavers, the farmers, and it was a very like a model which was like symbiotic.
Symbiotic. Interdependent
on the nature as well.
Interdependent and symbiotic.
Yeah, and we were the part of the 25% of the textile production of the world before the Britishers came. The textile and the spices. Okay, and then the Britishers came. They saw the profit model in it. So what they would do was they would take the cotton from us. They'll export the cotton back to the Britain, and they would make it into the yarn and sell it back to the India at a very high cost. And that's how the fast fashion started.
So, as because you're a social media influencer and I am from the fashion background, I wanted to ask that what do you see, how do you see the future of fashion and as well as social media intersecting, in terms of sustainability and ethical fashion?
Wow.
Too many things there.
Too many things there, yeah. But it's a very so people like me who are on social media who are constantly talking about sustainability. So for me, it is like once I saw the documentary True Cost, that was the game changer. True Cost. It was the game changer for me. It was like I cannot buy clothes from H&M or Zara anymore after seeing what they have shown in the documentary about the farmers, because majority of the farmers that are committing suicide in India are the cotton farmers, right? And the cotton that they are growing is not the indigenous cotton, which is the kala cotton or the brown cotton. They are growing the BT cotton, which is the genetically modified cotton. and which is more, it attracts pests more because it is not, indigenous to the soil and the geography. And so that brought change in me, and I started talking about it, and I started telling people like how to wear secondhand clothes, how you should normalize wearing secondhand clothes, right? Now, but there was a time, like you said, I would make my kids, like the passed down generation, like the clothes will get passed down from generation to generation. The cousins will change, will give clothes. But now that whole culture has changed because the families are also getting single. Like, it's not joint families anymore, right? We are migrating to cities. And it's the culture has totally changed. And then I read, like, I didn't have, nobody in my family was there to give me clothes for my kids. So then I used social media for the same purpose. And I started looking for platforms where people were selling clothes, like the newborn clothes, which was just like the newborns will outgrow within like 1 month or 2 months, right?
15 days.
15 days, yeah. So I was for me, it made no sense to spend on something which I have to buy again after 15 days, right? So, so I started asking people on social media, and I told them that this is the reason, I'm asking because I believe that, the total lifespan of the garment is much more than 15 days or 1 month or 1 year, and this is the reason I want to buy second-hand clothes. And I was ready to buy as well from the people. For example, recently, not recently, like 1 year back, I posted in our community social media that I'm looking for like lehenga for my daughter. I didn't have lehenga for my daughter for the Diwali, so I was looking for it. And instead of buying new one, I was like, why not ask people, right? So the simple thing where I took an initiative of asking that, I was not bothered that what will they think about me, like, oh, she doesn't have money to buy new ones.
It's Diwali.
It's Diwali, yeah.
Diwali.
But for me, it's like from the same money, I can save it for their education, right? It's how you, how you use your money, right? For me, buying a garment is not that important, a new garment, right? For me, spending on their education, spending on books that they are reading is much more important. So, but the response that I got after that one post, like people literally invited me to their house in the city.
And said, you can take whatever you want.
Yeah, take whatever you want. And I was ready to give them money as well. They didn't take me. But then I, got few, I made few dishes, gave it to them. So it's like exchange culture is like, it doesn't have barter. It doesn't have to be money always. You can always get them cupcakes or something, just to show that you're being grateful for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, sorry, I just diverted. I'm sorry.
And then you could use social media for good stuff as well.
Yeah. So the idea is like you can use, but there are so many influencers who are coming up who are promoting. I don't even know these brand names. Like I've never used them, like Misho and.
Misho is a platform which sells garments.
Okay, but their quality is so bad, I've heard.
Yeah.
And this called Shein.
Shein, yeah.
Which is like
That's
totally
Chinese.
the proper fast fashion brand. So I think the whole influencer is promoting these kind of clothes, and I think the reason is also the affordability. Like people are able to buy these clothes is the biggest thing. And when you talk about sustainable fashion, most of the sustainable brands are not economically accessible. Right? A piece of garment will cost you around 2,000 rupees plus, 2,500, right? And we are in that mind, like, we need to constantly hoard, especially in Indians, we like to hoard stuff. We need to have various items in our closet. And people can't do that when they have to spend 2,500 rupees on each garment, right? Especially the students as well. So for them, these things are very accessible. But the fact that they forget that, the quality, again, it comes down to the quality. Like in our culture, there was like my mother would always use the garment to the core. If it's getting ripped, then it'll get mended.
Yeah.
It'll be passed down, or it'll be used as a pocha or a dusting cloth. Like it was used to the core.
It had the entire life cycle.
Exactly.
Start from father to son to younger brother, then to a maid's husband.
Yes.
And then ultimately cut it into small kitchen cloth.
Exactly.
And then end up as a rag. Pocha.
Exactly. So it was fully utilized to its potential.
Now people buy pocha separately.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So I think the social media, like I said, people wants to stay in the trend is also, actually adding to this, like how people are purchasing more and more garments to stay relevant. Apparently, clothing has become more of a expression, a way of expression. as well, which is fine. But the fact that you don't create your own style looking at the mannequins, right? You have to be you have to create your own style. What makes you feel more comfortable rather than looking at the influencers, right? Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, like, what do you think of sustainable fashion? Do you think it's a fad or like it is here to stay?
Is it fashionable to be sustainably fashionable?
Yes, definitely. I mean, when you look at the sarees as well, the majority of the women who wears the drape called navy drape, which came later when the Britishers came because they were earlier the Indian women would not wear blouses, right?
Yeah.
So later on, when the Britishers came, the blouse policy came in and started wearing, and that's how the navy drape came into the culture. But indigenously, women have been wearing draping sarees in a different way, in which you can walk freely, in which
Work, basically work.
work as well. Yes, work as well. And I was amazed to see that there are more than 15 draping styles in India. And now I see so many influencers who are using the same style, wearing in a dress form, wearing a belt. You can. So sari is like one fabric which is so functional. Like you can create a dress as well. If you are into fashion, you'll know that how the designers make dresses, right? Just or draping on the mannequin, they create some dress just from a piece of garment. So the same thing is with the sari. So it's not a fad. I mean, when you talk about sustainable brands also, but the sustainable word is being loosely used actually, by the brands.
Okay, so let's intervene here from an academic or from a
Yeah.
theory point of view. So
Yeah.
what is sustainable? I mean, as per you, what is
Yeah,
what is
exactly.
sustainable?
So that's what I was coming at. So when you talk about the brands, I just have a problem that when they call them sustainable, right? Because there's so much into sustainability. When you talk about brands, there's so much in the supply chain.
Mhm.
Are you calling yourself sustainable just because you're using like a hand woven cloth?
Mhm.
Are you calling sustainable just because you're using hand blocked printed cloths? But there are so many people who are in the supply chain, right from the farmer who's producing it. Is the farmer getting the fair trade prices? Is the weaver getting the fair trade prices? If the person who's making it is getting or not. So there are so many things. It's not just limited to the kind of garment you're using to support the artisans and the kind of packaging material you're using. Because there's so much into it. So I always tell brands like, rather than using sustainable word, maybe use a conscious brand where you are evolving slowly and steadily, seeing what change you can bring to make it more accessible and easier for the consumer as well. But the main part is the price point. Are we ready to pay like 3,000 rupees for a piece of garment?
Mhm.
If the brand shows you, if the brand is very transparent, they shows you that okay, we are paying prices to our artisans. This is what we. There's a brand in Delhi started by two students actually, Tamil Chatti. So whenever you buy like a clothes from them, they would always send you like this was the total cost. This went into the production. This is the cost that we gave to the tailor.
Okay.
So that's how they are very transparent about like what they are doing, right? And this was our profit as well. So they mentioned their profit margins as well.
So I think it's to do more with being conscious of your actions.
Yes,
and
of
also
course.
being transparent with all the
Of course.
information which is there.
I mean, I completely understand. Like, suddenly, I cannot tell people to buy like expensive garments, right? It has to be slowly and steady, and it also has to go with the longevity of the clothes.
Mm.
If you buy good clothes, they will last you longer,
Yes. I
right?
have a 2016 running T-shirt still.
That's like a separate
story altogether.
altogether. Like talking about the t-shirts only, like 3,000 later, what it goes into making
Like one T-shirt.
one t-shirt, one
3,000
t-shirt. That's a lot of water, right? And amount of chemical that goes into dyeing clothes. That's a totally different thing. Like how it's exploiting the water table, the water levels.
So when you talk about sustainability, you also said that it starts with reduction first. Reduce is the
Yes,
first
yes,
thing. A lot of people concentrate on recycling and other things.
Yeah.
But I think reduce is the first thing.
Right.
And so in terms of fashion, how do we reduce consumption? How does it make sense to
Oh,
reduce
wow.
consumption in fashion?
Oh.
How do you reduce it?
This is a very difficult question, and I think People attach emotional happiness to the garments, when they go to shopping. The retail therapy brings them happiness.
Yes.
And I think it has got to do with we have gone very isolated as a community rather than staying together like how indigenous people live. We have gone very isolated. So for us, the happiness is not about putting an effort, putting effort into the friendships or staying close to the nature, but it's all about how much you're spending on the clothes or your home decor or it's all about that. It's all about the materialistic possessions that you have. So attaching happiness to these things is first the person needs to think that are they really giving me happiness? Because when you go to the mall, you purchase items. It'll give you happiness for like a few hours, one day, 2 days, 1 week, and after that you'll think that you need something else, right? So the word contentment is something that even I am actually, when I talk about minimalism, I'm further away from minimalism, but I keep on exploring in how I can be more minimalistic. I don't want to keep on buying things for my house, for my kids, or for myself. Do I really need it? So when you see a dress online, because now the algorithm plays with you, and then after every few seconds the ad is coming, or the influencer is wearing this cloth, and then you would want to own it, right? But I always do this trick is like, I'll always ask myself, do I really need it? And I say, I'll give this like 10 days time. After 10 days also, if I'm seeing, or after 1 month also, if I see that dress and I'm like, I really want it, then I'll buy it, because many of our, many of the times people buy in splurge, like they just buy instantly. They don't think about it. One of my friends had to go to a therapist just because of her purchasing problem. Like her husband was so fed up.
So many buys.
Seriously.
Insta buys. Instagram, Insta buys. Instantly buy.
Yeah.
You have a question? No? I have got multiple questions.
Yes, please.
So you could, when you are, let's say when you are in late 30s, early 40s, you would have come to a place and you said you've been there, done that kind of thing. And that's when you realize it's all mobile.
Yeah.
How do you give this message to the younger lot who are just seeing this right now? Is it not too difficult for them to give up even before they've had it?
Right, exactly. So that's what I say, and that's what the power of swapping fashion comes in. Okay. Because it gives you the freedom of enjoying different kind of styles in fashion, and where you don't even have to spend money. You can literally swap. There's swapping events happening everywhere. There's thrift store so many numbers. I can't even tell you, there's so many thrift stores on Instagram. Literally, if you search in the search box like thrift, you'll see so many thrift stores, right? Which are selling like a good, I have bought like Uniqlo pants for like 500 rupees and they're still going on so good. So that's where the second hand and the swapping fashion comes into the play, where you want to experience everything, what is happening around, and yet you're being responsible, conscious, and you're not, adding to the carbon footprint. So I think, and there are many events happening as well, like the swapping event happens. So Fashion Revolution days happening on 24th of April, where they talk about the people who are involved in the fashion industry.
It's in Hyderabad?
So Fashion Revolution is like a movement started all over the world, and they have given it a day, like on 24th, they celebrate sustainable fashion and the people who are involved in the fashion industry. Working for the rights of the people who are involved in the textile industry. So most of the times people would do swapping events during these days, like around Fashion Revolution Week, when they want to promote the message of sustainability through swapping fashion, where I would just go take 4 clothes with me, and there will be clothes, and I would just pick 4 and give my 4 clothes, and that's it. So it's not just about you're exchanging clothes, you're talking to people, you're networking as well. Maybe they become your friends. You're creating your own community where people have same thoughts, and it'll help you grow as well.
Ruchira?
So when you see from a consumer point of view, like a lot of them, they are conscious about this sustainability, okay, and they have that intention. But when it comes to action, there becomes a gap, like attitude behavior gap in consumers. So how do you think we can convert them to actually take actions and not just have that intention?
I think it all comes down to um, the laws that we have around sustainable fashion, and the brand needs to be more transparent, because there is a trust factor that the consumer is now very it's not like they are not dumb. They are they're aware of many things that are happening around. So I know there are many brands who are playing around with the name of sustainability and charging like 5,000 rupees, but they're not even paying to their government workers, and they are just they are having so high profit margin. There are many brands who are saying we are very conscious, but you're using machine-based fabrics, right? So I think with transparency, people really have this trust issue. Okay, and this is what I was talking about to a lady who runs a 6 year plus a sari store. She has started this new initiative called Dubara, where her clients who have won the sari would give her back, who want to sell it.
Okay.
And she would sell through her platform. Okay, and she holds exhibition, and she goes to various flea markets, and she puts these second-hand sarees so that people can see. They have this idea that maybe it's not of good quality. So the touch and feel of the fabric, oh, how good looking it is looking, and it's totally new, and it became a success for her. Like, she's sold out most of the times. Like, again, she's doing an event on 6th of May in Saptapalli. Sorry, Lamakan.
Okay.
Yeah, and she wants people to come and see all those second-hand sarees, which are like totally brand new, hardly having any defect. Because people just want to buy and they just don't want to wear it. But there are many people like me who would want to wear good stuff at a cheaper price because I can't afford it. Right?
Okay.
So I think that look and feel factor, I mean, we need more physical shops, thrift stores, are in the sustainable fashion, to see where people can touch and feel the garment and see and talk to the owners as well, if possible. Like, I think the few of the brands who are very successful, like Tamil Chutney, is like they constantly engage with their followers. They ask questions. They are ready. They don't take it as a criticism in case somebody is saying that, oh, your prices are high, even though I feel like their prices are still very good. But they would take it as a feedback, and they would tell them everything. They would want to engage. They would also promote about their artisans in case some artisan is selling something different, which their brand doesn't sell. They would still sell, and they will talk about the stories. So that way, the connect is very important with the consumer, and that's where you'll break that barrier of inhibition, like whether I should buy it or not.
Okay. Yep. Thank you very much, Kamana. I think it was very insightful.
Thank you so
very
much. Thank you so much for inviting.
Thank you, Ruchira.
Do we have questions?
Thank you very much, and thank you. We'll see you next time. Over.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.